listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again. And man, just like any other day, we have another show packed for you. And today we have our special guest, Atiba Souza. He is the CEO and Superman of Client Attraction Pros video marketing agency. I checked out his website. I mean, his client, it just speaks for itself. I'll probably spend 2 hours trying to give him an introduction. So first and foremost, I just want to give you the honor, Atiba, to introduce yourself to our audience.
Hey, everybody. First and foremost, thank you for having me here. Right. And, I am refocused. That's one of the things that I can say for all of us. In order to accomplish your goals, you have to be focused. And sometimes focusing means refocusing. And that's been my story, right? Learning when it's time to focus, when it's time to refocus, and always when it's time to move.
And you already preach on this show, man. I love it. So kind of tell the audience a little bit about your entrepreneurship journey. What got you excited to say, you know what, this is something I could do, be my own boss? And what was that like for you starting out?
Yeah, so I'm blessed in that I'm a third generation entrepreneur. So I grew up around entrepreneurship. It was the only thing I knew. To this point, I've only had a job for 24 months of my life.
Wow.
And I'm about to be 46 years old.
That's awesome.
Right. So I've been an entrepreneur for my entire life. I started my first company when I was 17 years old. And I've been off and running ever since. And so I'm blessed in that sense that it was the norm for us. It was what was expected of us to do in my family, which I understand that it gives you a certain advantage, but it also gives you a certain pressure too, right?
Yeah.
When that's what everyone does. So it kind of goes both ways. And so I started a computer consulting company back in 1996.
Wow.
It's been a little while. And we actually created, it was me and two friends, we actually created a search engine back in 1996. And I learned search and this thing that now everyone calls SEO from the inside out, from the way the computer works out. And I've been in search ever since. Now, search has changed over the years, and I've had to refocus several times over the years. And it's not always easy, but it was always the right choice.
When you look back, I mean, you are definitely, if I can say, you're OG in the game. So you've seen just about anything, being an entrepreneur and having to wear so many different, hats. And speaking of that, you have a cool hat on right now. You can see it, but you have on your website, CEO and Superman. What are some of the things that you started to pick up on? Because I can only imagine being able to have multiple gigs that you eventually start seeing patterns of what are the core elements that help a business run.
Yeah. Hey, y'all ain't gonna like what I'm about to say. I'm just giving you a warning up front, okay? Mm-hmm. Failure is not an option. It's an inevitability. Mm. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. And it's not so much that you failed, but it's what you do after. Okay? It's the ability to look at it from an objective perspective and not be subjective, not take it, oh, woe is me. Listen, I've been $300,000 in debt. I have made over $1 million. I've been through bankruptcy. I have had multiple cars repossessed. I've had a house go to foreclosure. I've been up and down the ladder. I've bought businesses. I've sold businesses. I've started businesses. I've closed businesses.
Wow.
And the one commonality, there was a lot of failure. But it's how you react to it. You know, I heard a statistic the other day, and this I wish I'd heard this a long time ago. And a statistic said that when they tallied up some of the greatest military generals in the world, and they look at all the decisions that some of the greatest military generals in the world made, 80% of the time, they were wrong. They made the wrong choice. Yeah. They had failure. So you're telling me the people who are considered the greatest military generals, people whose decisions put people's lives in danger, are only right 20% of the time?
Wow.
And we sit here, you sit here, and you have a little failure where a client says they don't want to work with you anymore, or somebody doesn't call you back, and you think, woe is me. Get over it.
Yeah.
Get up. Move.
That's good. Man, that's good. That had that big pause right there for the audience so they can let that sink in, because we live in a society where there's so many filters, so many, hashtags or ways, and nothing wrong with hashtags, but I feel like sometimes it can oversaturate what you're talking about right now. And that is okay to fail. Like, we kind of live in a place where people kind of poke fun at people's failures and they just rub it in. And it almost, like we're saying in the wrong message, that you're supposed to be this perfect person. And if you fail, just fail a little bit, but make sure your success is way more than your failures.
The greatest success is in your failure.
Yeah. I mean, I know you know that as a seasoned entrepreneur, but when you experience those failures, take us back to maybe early on to the early failures. I mean, you didn't have the same reaction you have right now, where you're just very articulate. You just have all this wisdom. I mean, what was it like in the trenches when we had the first seasons of failures?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said, back then, 1996, we created our first search engine. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, I want y'all to hear that clearly. I had a search engine online before Google did.
That's awesome.
Just let that sink in for a moment, right?
Yeah.
And we made $2,500 off of our search engine. And I remember being excited. We were excited. And then we were in my mother's basement at the time. And my mother came downstairs and she said, "Have y'all heard of this thing called Excite?" And we're like, "No, what is that?" They said, "Well, it just sold for, I think at the time it was like $2.5 million. And we look it up and we realized that Excite was a freaking search engine.
Wow.
And we made $2,500. They made $2.5 million. And we're just like, right? And you sit there and yeah, you feel bad. I mean, at one moment you're feeling great about 2,500 and you realize the multiple should have been a lot bigger. Right?
Yeah.
And you feel bad in that moment, but in that moment, you also have to recognize that there was greatness even in what you did. So you made a wrong choice. You went the wrong way. You somewhere along the way, and it didn't work out. But there was so much that you did right. And so we had to go back and look and say, okay, we had the ingenuity to have created this. Sure, we didn't make the money that we were supposed to. And quite honestly, if we were really, really smart, we would have just made another one and kept on going, because we were like $2.5 million. Man, they're it. This is the search engine forever. Well, Google still wasn't around. Right? And so we went back in the lab and we created something new. We took what we learned and we created something new. We didn't allow ourselves to sit there. So that was one. The next one was later that year, one of my business partners left. I left the company. We had a buyout note. That's fine. And he left. And then 3.5 years later, my other business partner left. And my business partner left at a time, and we won't go through all the specifics of it, but he left at a time where we had just gotten in a bunch of work that only he could do. And I'm sitting there with people who are paying us to do work, and it can't get done by me because I don't know how. And it's just me left. And in that moment, I had a choice. And that choice was, I could go back to those people and say sorry, give them their money back, curl up, and go get a job. Or I could look at it as what I did, and it was an opportunity. It was an opportunity to learn. It was an opportunity to grow. It was an opportunity to solve the problem in a different way. So yes, we took on a job that only he could do. But what I did instead was reframed the job into something that I could do to get to the same result. You see, and that's one of the major issues that we have in businesses and as people is so often we see a path and we think that the path is linear and this is the only way to get to the result that we want. And that's because we put on these blinders on ourselves. That's all we can see. In that moment, what I had to do was strip away those blinders and say, okay, how else can I solve this problem? Now, was it easy? No. Was I terrified? Yes. Was I afraid that it was going to fail? Heck yes. Heck yes. Heck yes.
That's good because yesterday I was just watching them revealing, the Lakers revealing the statues for Kobe. The 3 statues, one's going to be 8. The other's going to be 24 of the jersey, and the last one is Gigi. So I was like, man, I always get goosebumps because, everyone remembers just how dedicated he was to the game. And I'm tying that to our conversation because he has a quote where he says, everything negative, pressure, challenges is all an opportunity for me to rise. And I mentioned earlier in the interview in the open that you're CEO and Superman. Well, part of me is like, when is the time that you become the Superman of your dreams, of your goals, of your brand, of what it is you're trying to build? How did you answer that for yourself?
Yeah, and so I'm going to share a story with you that a friend of mine shared with me this week, and because I think I've had an answer for that, and I love his answer better, so I'm going to share his answer, if that's okay, right? Mm-hmm. He has won the Ferrari Open, okay? Very few people who have won the Ferrari Open. He collects Ferraris. He got like 9 of them.
Wow.
Right?
Not bad.
Yeah, he's the closest thing I know to a billionaire, to be honest with you. Right. Mm-hmm. And I'm at his house in Beverly Hills, and we're having this exact conversation about becoming that, right. And really owning that space and being that superhero and what that really looks like. Right. And he pulls out his phone and he pulls up the timer and he says, okay, you see the start button? Right. I want you to tap it and stop it as fast as you can. Right. And so it's boop, boop. Okay. Mm-hmm. And mine measured out to be 1/16 of a second or whatever it was. Right. 0.16 seconds. That's what it was. 0.16 seconds. And he says, that's it right there. He said, when I was training to win the Ferrari Open, it's understanding that I've got to make a lap, and there are a certain number of laps I got to make around this course. But my goal is to be 1/16 of a second faster than that next guy. And every day I'm working to get 1/16 faster. You see, all of us think in order to become this quote unquote superhero, there's some grandiose thing that needs to happen. There's some magical moment. There's some crowning and coronation moment, but there isn't. There isn't. It's about the every single day fight to get better than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
Every single day, fighting for that 1/16, that boo, 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 fight, get better every day. That's what it takes.
Man, that's so good. Man, that's real good because I'm a visual person. And when you say that and when you demonstrate that with the sound effect, boom, 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 it's like a heartbeat. But not just that, in music, that beat drives the song. So it's like, what song are you singing in your life? Because if it's bad, then maybe you need to change up that beat. Maybe you need to change up your rhythm. And maybe you just need to, like you said, you just need to get better each and every day. It's not about, like you said, where you have to have this magic sauce that comes out of thin air and you just selling courses, having people drink this magic sauce. No, that's just baloney. It's a lifestyle, and you have to believe it every day, even on the days you lose. When you,
especially on the days you lose.
Talk about that, because on days that you lost, where you just had things coming, right? What were some of the strategies you had when you just feel like the air just comes out of you? You know, you just got a gut punch. How did you handle those days when you just lost?
Those are the best days. Those are the absolute best days. And you should look forward to those days when you lose. Okay. One of the things I've had the pleasure of doing is coaching high level football for a very long time. We've won national championships. Okay. And we've had teams that went through seasons undefeated to winning a national championship, like high level football. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those things that as a coach that we would try to manufacture losses for the team, because it's in the loss that you see where you can get better. It's in the loss where you see where your weaknesses are, where you can actually take off the rose-colored glasses that everything is perfect.
Yeah.
And so the losses are where the most growth happens. Mm. Now, why is that so? Because there's something called the creation cycle, right? Everyone wants to create and everyone wants to do something beautiful. But what we don't realize is in order for something beautiful to happen, something has to be destroyed. Think about it for a moment. When you go and you see a piece of artwork that was painted or drawn, and you're saying, and you're marveling at how beautiful this piece of artwork was. Well, guess what? A pristine white canvas had to be destroyed in order for that piece of artwork to be created.
Wow.
In order for everything to be created, something must be destroyed. So in your failure, there is destruction that's happening.
Mm. Yeah.
Now, how you react to that is what creates the beauty that comes after it.
Yeah.
That's the key. That's why I say, look forward to your failure. Look forward to it. Embrace it. Because in it, you can find beauty.
I like when you said the word destruction, because it's a harsh word, but sometimes it's necessary, because you can look from the perspective that, like when you have outgrown a area in your life, well, sometimes it's a sign for you, it's time to grow, you know, because you keep hitting the walls and you're just outgrowing the space you're in. And sometimes that destruction is maybe coming towards your ego. So it's trying to destroy your ego, or it's trying to destroy your excuses. And even though it's painful, it's necessary in order for you to grow to the fullest potential. Because the moment and I can't take credit for this, someone said this, that was wise. They said, the moment you decide you want growth is the moment challenges come in your life.
Yep, absolutely. Without question.
Once again, we're talking to our guest, Atiba D. Souza. You can go to his website. It is clientattractionpros.com. He is the CEO and Superman of Client Attraction Pros Video Marketing Agency. Now that we set up your background story, let's talk about your business today. Mm-hmm. Who are your clients, and what is the core operation that you use to service your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said a little bit earlier, we've been in search for a very, very, very long time, since 1996. I mean, we're still in search. And we help medical professionals, doctors, who are leaving the insurance-based care world for the cash-based care world, because they realize that insurance is robbing them from the opportunity to actually take care of their customers well. Mm. The issue that they have, though, is once they do that, how do they find clients? Because the insurance companies were the ones who were sending patients to them before. And so we help them build relationships with their patients using video. And then we position those videos in front of their ideal clients on different platforms, starting with Google and YouTube, so that their ideal clients, ideal patients can find them. So as I said, we're still in search. Mm-hmm. But we now specialize in video and getting your message out through video.
Let's unpack that because social media, I mean, it's the hottest thing since ever. I mean, now we're dealing with TikTok. I'm trying to learn it myself, but when you're introvert, it's kind of tricky because it's like you don't want to get up and dance, but it's expanding. There's so many businesses that are now utilizing TikTok now in creative ways, from education to, positive, inspirational, content. For you, dealing with all these different personalities, if you will, how do you strategize a trajectory for your clients to point, A to Z, to where they can fully grow their potential of their brand?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, it's one of those things where it's very easy to get caught up in what society is doing. It's very easy to get caught up into, to me too, I want to do it like that too. Or I saw somebody else do this and let me do that, right? And that's typically wrong. Let me just be honest. That's typically wrong. What we do with our clients is we start off with understanding who their ideal patients are. And this is the same thing that you need to do in your business as well. You start off with understanding who your ideal customer is. What am I talking about there? I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about that customer that you are excited to wake up in the morning and serve. That customer that when they get an outcome with whatever it is that you do for them, you're just super jazzed and you want to tell people. That customer that, honestly, you almost feel guilty for charging them because you're having so much fun doing the work for them. Okay, you're still going to charge them, but you might feel a little guilty, right? That's the customer we want to focus on. Not the one that gives you a headache, not the one that doesn't pay on time, not the one that I don't need you, more people like you. No. We want to focus on your ideal customer. And so we start there and we look at your ideal customer and we ask certain questions. One, what are their pain points? What are they going through? What do they need to know? And then two, where are they hanging out? Because they may not be on TikTok.
Yeah.
They may not. And if they're not, there's no need for you to be.
That's good.
Just because somebody else is.
True.
Okay. So we ask that question, where are they? Once we figure out what platform they're on, then we start to create content for that platform and focus there.
That's good because a lot of people, it's almost like a rat race. It's like, man, I have to be on here now because so-and-so said I should, or so-and-so saying in their master course, this is what you should be doing. Right. What you're saying is, let's kind of rewind the tape a little bit and make sure if you're good at playing, for instance, just a metaphor, basketball, well, we want to make sure you're not running, football as a running back.
Exactly. And that's super important, right?
Yeah.
And then even then, once you get to a platform, it's not getting caught up. So I have a client and he comes to me and he says, I'm a little concerned because our videos are getting only an average of 500 views. And I feel like we should be getting more. I mean, we had one video that had over 30,000 views. Why aren't they all over 30,000 views? Right. And I said to him, I said, okay, I hear your concern, but let's unpack that for a little bit. You serve a local area in upstate New York in a town that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't even have 30,000 people in your town. So the fact that 500 people are watching your video and we can track that majority of those are from your area says you're doing really, really well. Okay. Yeah. You had one that went viral. Great. But none of those 30,000 people are converting to become your clients. Whereas, look at these videos with only 500 views, and these are converting clients. So you're measuring the wrong statistic. You can't pay your mortgage on views and likes. There is no mortgage company that takes likes as payment. Not in 2024.
Yeah, you read my mind because I was just about to ask that. Like, how do you try to educate your clients not to worry about numbers as far as like social media likes, because that's, like you said, is totally different than actually measuring what actually converts.
Yeah. And it's asking the question and answering. So if you're doing this for yourself, right? So if you don't have an agency who's helping you and you're doing this for yourself, it's asking what actually moves the needle. Okay. Do likes actually move the needle? The only needle that moves is your dopamine in your head that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
But again, can you pay the bills with it? That's always the question to ask. Can I pay the bills with it? Did this lead to an action that I can pay the bills with? So yes, now you've got 500 views. Those 500 views turned into 35 website clicks. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we're talking. Now they're on the website. So they've taken an action to go do something. What happened to them when they got to the website?
Yeah.
Right? That's a metric that you care about. Who cares if someone liked it or didn't? If no one, because if you had 1 million views and 1 million likes and nobody went to your website and nobody called, big deal.
And there's some good stuff. I'm taking notes right now for myself, man. I know my listeners going to like this one. So once again, listen, I'm Refocus Radio, talking to our guest, Atiba D. Souza. And let's talk about repurposing, because we hear that a lot with not just podcast shows, but just anyone who does any general content on social media. Yeah. Explain for someone who may be not up to par to exploring social media, what is repurposing, like the right way and standard way, and how they can utilize that in helping grow awareness of the brand.
Yeah. So number one, I'll start by saying repurposing is a 4-letter word in my book. That's a curse word in my book. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's been bastardized because especially with AI, it's, hey, I got a tool, stick your video or stick your audio in here and we'll cut it up and repurpose it for you. Yeah. But here's a problem with that. Every piece of content that you create needs to be measured against the lens of how does this help my ideal customer? What does this solve for them? What problem do they have that this solves for them? So if you're just blindly repurposing content, which usually means, and even the AI does this, it's based on ego. Oh man, I said something cool. That sounded real good. I'm going to cut that out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Your ideal customer may not care about that.
Yeah.
And so we use the word instead, splintering. An intelligent splintering. So we're going to splinter content into intelligent chunks where we're considering what is the question that the ideal customer has? What is the pain point that they have? And how is it answered in this larger body of work that we created? And how can we cut it down so we answer just that pain point or just that question? Everything starts with understanding your customer and what they want. It's never, ever about what you want to say. It's not ever about what you think is important because they don't care.
Yeah.
They only care about what they believe is important. So that's what you got to give them.
Some people want to take this like, man, I don't know, man, because if I'm an entertainer, wouldn't it just be fine if I just put my stuff all over on all social platforms? What would you say to that person?
So, yeah, if you're an entertainer and you want to put your stuff, and I don't have any problem with you putting your stuff on all social platforms. As a matter of fact, what we do and what we tell our customers and what we do for our customers is we figure out where your customers are. We create content for that platform and we take that content, we put it everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm not at all telling you not to put content everywhere, but I'm telling you that you're creating content for one platform, for one audience, and be specific about it.
Yeah.
Okay? Be specific about it. Now, once you master that platform and that audience there, and you realize, oh, they're also on a different platform, but this platform likes their content formatted slightly differently. Now you can talk about creating multiple pieces of content off of the same thing, formatted differently for different platforms. You ain't got time for that. Not right now.
Yeah.
Be real.
That's a good point because it's a difference between, I'm going back to old days when I was in community college at Ann Arbor. My animation instructor, he said, you can blindly press the buttons in the software, Autodesk, Maya is what we use. He said, or you can learn what each tool does, and then you can create something nice. Don't be the person that just press buttons.
Yeah.
For you, at what point of your entrepreneurship journey did you say, you know what, it's time for me to get myself mentally to this next level so that way I can take my business with me to that next level versus plateauing and just settling for the mundane, this is what I've been doing for years?
Well, first and foremost, I would say to everyone, if you haven't listened to the book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell, it's time. Because John starts off and he says, it's all about the lid. Everything rises and falls on leadership, and it's all about the lid of the leader. And if you're not constantly, remember we talked about boop, boop.
Yep.
If you're not constantly raising your lid every single day, you're dying.
That's good.
And your company is dying. So to answer your question, I don't think it ever happened. I think it's been a constant pursuit. I listened to John Maxwell's book back in 2001. And I remember where I was. I was at a traffic light on Route 7 in Virginia when I heard that. And it changed me. And it was just like, I got to study and I got to grow every single day.
That's good.
Okay. And yeah, it's been that ever since. It's like, how do I get better every single day? And if you're not doing that, you're dying.
Yeah,
you're dying.
That's important for people to grab onto, because we can so easily get into the trending things. And like we said earlier, we pay attention to like, okay, what's hot now? And if you're not careful, you're just going to be like a trendy type person versus you can be a pioneer. And that's my last question for you as we wrap this up. Why is it, or you correct me if you want to say it differently, but why is it important for someone who's an entrepreneur or maybe 9 to 5 working way up to the ladder in corporate world to the very top? Why is it important to be more focused on being a pioneer where you can leave a trail versus be too trendy and try to follow things that are, more of a fad?
Yeah, so I'm gonna answer this by saying, which I know the audience can't see, but if you go Google my name, you'll see I got lots of Superman hats. And a lot of times people think that's because I'm narcissistic and I love Superman and it's all about me, but it isn't. It isn't at all. When I wear a Superman hat, I can't see the S on my head. The S on my head is only seen by you. And I wear this because I want you to know that there's an inner superhero inside of you. And I'm here to help you bring that inner superhero out. And that's the key there, is understanding that you listening to me right now, there's an inner superhero inside of you. There's an individual inside of you. You've been conformed and you've been socialized to conform to the way things are. But there's something inside of you as you're listening to us, and you've been listening this entire time. There's something inside of you that you're feeling that there is more for me in this world. And that's your inner superhero trying to birth itself out. This is why you have to blaze a trail, because only you can walk this path. Only you can birth that superhero that's inside of you and blaze this trail. Be the pioneer on this trail that you're supposed to be, whether you're in corporate, whether you're a business owner. Listen, there is a portion of this world that you were created to affect and change. It may be 2 people, it may be 2,000 people, it may be 2 million people, it may be 2 billion people. Whatever it is, whoever it is, you need to do it. And you cannot do it if you don't walk your own path. If you're walking somebody else's path, you are wrong.
Yeah. That's so good. I don't even want to touch about, I will say this and not touch it again. And that is, to your last point, if you walk someone else's path, you're wrong. I totally 100% agree, because you're almost cheating yourself, because that person went through their blood, sweat, and tears to make it easy for you, but it was a design to replace you in your life journey. and purpose. And if we're not careful, we'll live our whole life trying to follow someone else's journey, which is nothing wrong using it as an inspiration, but don't let it substitute what your plan was for your own life, for you to be a trailblazer.
Yes.
Man, on that note, man, time flew by fast. You go to our guest website, is clientattractionpros.com. We've been talking to Atiba D. Souza, the CEO and Superman. Want to say, like always, thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.